That's better. 'Tis you, is it? You all right?
Yeah, is it an improvement?
Yeah, well, I'd like to say, yeah. It's quite apt that you're Delboy and I've come as Rodney, actually, eh?
Although I am going to take it off because I'll sound a bit too squeaky while we do this. So here we
They're
go.
pretty warm. They're pretty warm, them, aren't they? I've got both of them. They're quite hot.
Yeah, too hot to do this, that's for sure. So what do we think then? So Only Fools and Horses, the best loved TV show on the BBC. Only right, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. No shocks there. I think I always think if it's like, the top trumps card, where you have like, I don't know, if you're doing one with cars, it's how expensive it is, the bigger the engine. And Fools and Horses, if you scored it, it's long. It's not the longest running BBC programme, but it's one of the longest, isn't it? Definitely the funniest programme. And it has the most viewers of all time as well. So those three things alone probably make it number one, I would say.
And what's quite funny is that it's not shown much on the BBC, is it? It's shown on UK TV Gold and Dave and channels like that, but not so much on the BBC.
No, it isn't shown much on BBC now, like you say. But yeah, it's well, I was just looking at the others really. I mean, it's beaten stiff competition. Doctor Who is a cult following, isn't it? Really, Doctor Who was second, and Strictly Come Dancing third. But I think Fawlty Towers has done well, really. 2 series, that was number 7. But yeah, Fools and Horses, it stands alone, really, doesn't it? And I suppose a testimony to it is, Chris, it hasn't been on even on BBC since 2003, has it? That was the last episode as well. So
yeah,
yeah.
I think for the anniversary they showed A Touch of Glass, didn't they, on the BBC? But that's the last time I remember it being shown.
That's right, the 40th anniversary. Yeah, there's a nice tribute from Sue Holderness on the One Show last night, because it's one show viewers that voted, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was lovely. Yeah, she was talking about John Challis, Boise, wasn't she? And really nice to hear from her.
Yeah, she was saying, I didn't realise I know she was friends with Carol Challis, John's wife, but they used to go on holiday together. Sue and her husband, and John and Carol, John's wife, used to go on holiday quite a bit. So I think she said they speak daily still, So and then there was a nice tribute with Paul Whitehouse. He was at the he was going on for the musical last night, so he was talking about the show. He said his favourite bit was the chandelier scene, actually.
Amazing to think that it was John Sullivan's dad, wasn't it, that told the original story. And apparently his dad wasn't in favour of it, was he? Until he saw it, and he phoned him up and he said, actually, that was really funny.
Yeah, he said his dad always phoned him after the episode, didn't he? He said, oh yeah, you were right, John, it was funny, yeah. But I think he said 12 people got the sack or something, yeah. So I think some of the most famous scenes in Fools and Horses were real, weren't they, sort of thing, I think the falling through the bar one, I think he'd seen that happen. I suppose it probably happens every Saturday night, actually, doesn't it? The falling through the bar. But yeah, one or two of the episodes. I mean, the watch is real as well. The John Harrison watch, isn't it? That.
And as you were saying about Carol, that's lovely that she's keeping on the legacy of Boise, because she's on Twitter now, isn't she? At Being Boise, and she keeps it alive, really.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, I don't think you've seen Being Boise, have you? In Serbia, it's very good actually on Amazon Prime. It's on that very good show of John.
Well, he actually came to my town, East Grinstead, and he did a show, and I went to that, and it was called Being Boise. It was a really good show, actually. He took you through everything on the show, his stories, and he had like a projector in the background, and it was a good evening actually. And you got to meet him afterwards, and yeah, he was doing that obviously. Sadly, before he passed away, he was doing that all over the country.
That's right. I think he'd done one show, hadn't he, or something, on this new live show, and I think unfortunately had to withdraw from ill health, really. So yeah, just looking at the top 10. So yeah, Fools and Horses number 1, Doctor Who, Strictly Come Dancing, Line of Duty. I quite like that. Call the Midwife, Gavin and Stacey, Fawlty Towers, Blackadder, Morecambe and Wise, and Vicar of Dibley are the top 10. I'm just trying to look at any shocks really in there. You think I know probably not something I watch, but Mastermind's been going a long time, hasn't it? You think or some of Richard Attenborough's shows as well, probably. might deserve. I don't mean number one, but you'd thought they'd have made the top 10 possibly, wouldn't you? Perhaps.
What about Match of the Day? Would that
Yeah,
be
another one, not in the top
yeah,
20, Chris. No, amazing, isn't it?
surprising? But I always thought Fools and Horses would win. I think they did this a few years ago, didn't they? Maybe it wasn't called The Most Loved, but it was the best sitcom, wasn't it? Or
Best sitcom, yeah, it was. I think Fools and Horses came out. Probably, in fact, you know, I think it's even more of a compliment winning. Yeah, the best comedy is one thing, but to win overall, you're against everything, aren't you? You know, even stiffer competition, really, isn't it? To win the one they did last night, the best BBC programme, was quite a compliment, really, isn't it? I would have thought.
definitely. Well, I think if it didn't win, I think online on social media it would have gone into meltdown, probably.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, yeah, because some of them, to be fair, I'm just looking, they're still on that, like Strictly, really. In a way, it's still in the mindset and Doctor Who, isn't it? And Line of Duty and Call the Midwife. In fact, the other four are still running now. So, you know, if we did let's say we did the poll in 10 years' time, Fools and Horses would still be there, wouldn't it? Number one, probably, but the other four might not be.
Yeah, that is interesting.
You know, that sort of, since we've not had an episode, for it still to be number one is something else, really. Like I say, Faulty Towers, got to be worth a shout out. Yeah, maybe, yeah, but to have only 2 series, and I think the last series was over 40 years old. That's number 7. Morecambe and Wise is the same, isn't it? I mean, again, probably even longer ago, actually, and that's up there.
But these shows are timeless, aren't they? And of course, Fools and Horses, it's the best one. We all know that.
Yeah. Roger Lloyd Pack, obviously, Vicar of Dibley, he was in, wasn't he, as well as Fools and Horses? He's got 2 in the top 10 there, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, he was very funny in that as well. He was like Trigger in that, really, wasn't he?
Yeah. And I think we've said before, I think this musical's not helped it, but it's keeping it going, isn't it? It's keeping the momentum of Fools and Horses alive, you know. So, you know, and they're sold out. I mean, they've been going now, I think, 3 years, Chris, with this live show, and there's no let up with it at all. I don't know how long these London shows last. You probably know more than me. Is that a long time for a London show? 3 years? I would imagine it is it?
It can be. Yeah, I mean, there's some like Les Miserables and things like that have been going for decades, and I think the ABBA one, Mamma Mia, that went for about 20 years or something. But it's still very good for a new musical, something totally different. I think that's the first time I've heard of it, really, where you've turned a TV comedy into a musical.
They've done it with Back to the Future, haven't they? Now I think they might see 1 or 2 more do that. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice actually if they did perhaps another one. Even there's legs in it, isn't there? To perhaps do another.
Yeah, I haven't seen the show yet. I've got to go to see it, and it's great online. You see all these people having pictures saying, "Oh, I'm seeing the musical tonight," and it's been really good. So I'm definitely going to go and see it. But isn't it centered around the dates episode? You said.
It is the dates episode, yeah, when Del meets Raquel for the first time, yeah. And then there's a few, don't want to spoil it, but there's a few little quotes of the show, you know, a few scenes that from old episodes. But strangely, it's Grandad, actually, that's in it, not Albert.
So he could be in the next one.
He could be in the next one, yeah. Within, you know, dates, it was Albert, wasn't it, that was in dates. So, yeah, you've got, you know, Roger. In fact, it'd be quite a good soundtrack, actually. Some of the songs in it are really, you know, the new songs, actually, they're really good. There's one Trigger does that's
in the musical. Do they go to Margate?
No, they don't actually.
Well, there you go.
They are, yeah. You've got the sequel.
One of the best episodes.
Well, personally, my favourite wasn't your favourite, was it? Well, it wasn't your number 1. I mean, was it?
I think that was my 3rd or 4th. I got a bit confused by it. Yeah.
I know Time and a Hands. Was it Time and a Hands was up there for you, wasn't it?
Number 1. That was for me anyway. But I love them all. Really, it's hard when you do that, but that's what we do, don't we?
Well, yeah, we've got to be we're very strict, aren't we? Yeah, it's a close call. Even like you say, the worst episodes, which are still probably 8 or 9 out of 10, aren't they? So how can they be? You know, they're all 64 are brilliant episodes, really, aren't they? So
yeah, we'll have to rank them all one day. It'd be very hard, but we can do it. Yeah,
it would be tough. Yeah, I mean, I could certainly rank the series. I think I've always said it. I think Series 6 and Margate Jolly Boys Outing for me was when it hit its peak. I thought that was unbelievable. That Series 6, and you know, when he gets married to Cassandra Rodney. Well, that was a brilliant series. All 6 of those episodes are probably, if I did a top 10, I think 4 or 5 of those would be in my top 10. That's how good that series was to me.
Yeah. And back to last night, of course, it's fantastic. Only Fools and Horses won it, and we knew they would, didn't we? I mean, I think that was never in doubt.
I must admit, I don't know how many people voted for it actually, but it'd be interesting to see how many it won by, wouldn't it? I would think by a landslide, if I'm honest, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. What was it, number 2? It
was Doctor Who at number 2.
Doctor Who, yeah, that's got a big cult following, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, that's been going, I think, since the 60s, hasn't it? It did go off the telly for a bit. Say Strictly number 3. Strictly's probably the BBC's strongest. It is the strongest programme now, isn't it? That's currently on, I would have thought. So, Line of Duty, I'm a big fan of that. That's good. But
it's interesting though when they say loved, and I don't know if it's a drama or something like that. I was thinking of like Peaky Blinders wasn't in there. I thought that might have been in the top 20. Was it?
No, it wasn't. Yeah, Blue Peter, I'm looking, and Top of the Pops. Blue Peter 20, Top of the Pops.
Oh yeah,
18.
Top of the Pops. God, yeah. Unless they left music and sport out of it, maybe. I don't know.
No, it's number 18, Top of the Pops. But yeah, Match of the Day, maybe. Yeah, maybe Match of the Day. The Good Life, Sherlock, the Prime Minister. They're all in the top 20. Dinner Ladies, and I've really watched that. That's Victoria Wood, isn't it? I think. Vicar of Dibley, yeah. I mean, I was quite a big
One Foot in the Grave maybe should have been on there.
One Foot in the Grave, yeah, that was a good show. Trying to think, Young Ones, I used to like that, but I think that was a bit acquired taste, let's say. It wasn't for everybody, but I thought that was really good.
Was Bottom on the BBC?
Bottom was BBC as well, yeah.
That was funny. I used to love that, yeah. I remember seeing that with my dad, the movie. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, Guest House Paradiso. We laughed our heads off.
Yeah, they did about 3 or 4 of them, didn't they? Live shows. Yeah, and I meant to go and see one. Tell you what was good, but I know it's a little bit politically incorrect now. Little Britain as well.
Yeah, and also, what about the original show that John Sullivan did? Was that on the BBC?
Yeah, it was Citizen Smith. Yeah, not in the top 20. Never shown though. I mean, if you're under, I know you're younger than me, but I actually haven't seen many of them myself because I can't remember the last time we've done anything, Chris. UK Gold, BBC, actually.
Yeah, I've only seen a few of them, but I know about it, and I know that John Challis was in it, and other Only Fools and Horses actors were in it, brief parts.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that, wouldn't it? That how many of them were, like you say, that the cameo roles in Fools and Horses actually were in Citizen Smith as well. Yeah, be interesting that. Yeah, I know that's why John got the part, really, wasn't it? I think he'd been in Citizen Smith and thought he could. I think he was a totally different character in Citizen Smith, though.
Yeah, I think he was a bent copper or something.
Yeah.
It seems.
And then there's an episode in Citizen Smith that's actually called Only Fools and Horses.
Oh, is there? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that.
And it wasn't going to be called Fools and Horses, was it? I think Reddit was. Reddit was the one. And then there was a rumor. I think we spoke about this once that David Jason was going to quit the role because he was just fed up of half-an-hour episodes, that there was so much good quality being thrown away. It's a bit like what Michael Fenton Stevens touched on the other day, wasn't it? Where he said they extend it to 50 minutes instead of 30.
Yeah.
So when he met Jumbo Mills, I think there was a rumour that he was going to quit then, and then it was going to be called Hot Rod with Nick Lyndhurst just as Rodney in it. But
unthinkable, isn't it? Now, I mean,
unthinkable. It wouldn't have been number 1, would it? I don't think. It had to have Del and Rodney, didn't it? There.
What series was that then?
That was series 5. Yeah,
I think it would have been halfway down the list if they did that now.
Yeah,
like you say. They stopped it there, and then they went with the Hot Rod show.
yeah. I'm trying to think of the episodes. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, wasn't it? Series 5, Jumbo Mills. And then we had a podcast, of course, didn't we? But I did ask about that, didn't I? But
Nick Stringer, yeah.
Nick didn't know about that. He hadn't heard the rumor about David Jason quitting, but that could have been afterwards, couldn't it? Really? So.
Yeah, or it could have been in the background, and he was a guest, wasn't he? So I suppose they don't know what all the original cast know.
No, and I know David did comment last night, didn't he, saying how pleased he was that it was voted number one.
I mean, everybody associated with it must love it. I mean, fans love it that it's number one. So imagine if you acted in it.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I did vote 500 times. No, I didn't really. 500 times
Didn't need to.
well.
I didn't vote at all.
To.
I didn't know it was on, to be honest. You told me, and then I looked online, and I was like, oh. So I watched it this morning on the iPlayer.
Yeah, well, to be quite honest with you, I got a phone call off my mum, and I'd seen her that day. So at first I thought, oh dear, well, something happened here. And she rung me to say that it was on, So I quickly flipped over while it was on, yeah. I didn't know about the voting, though. And I do watch the one show. I just happened to catch it this week, really. So
it's still on the iPlayer. If anybody wants to watch it, it was good. I fast
forward.
Yeah,
it's definitely worth a watch.
A bit, though, obviously.
yeah, it's definitely worth a watch, isn't it? So...
But I think with Fools and Horses, like you're saying, maybe in the 5th series it could have become just a show with Rodney in it, which we don't like the idea of, and we're glad it didn't happen. But I think the characters got more three-dimensional as it went on, really. I think they were kind of two-dimensional to begin with, weren't they? And then it sort of evolved.
He opened it out with the ladies. I know some people, fans might say, oh, when Raquel and Cassandra come in, it did... not ruin it, but it tapered off. But I think you like you say, it needed to develop, didn't it? As people, we develop, don't we? So it needed to open out a little bit. So yeah, it did. I was just thinking, actually, David Jason, Open All Hours, another show he was in. That's not in the top 20 either, is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Porridge. They used to make so many great comedies, didn't they? The BBC. Yeah, Porridge. That's another one.
Yeah, really, Ronnie Barker. What were the chances to say that we'll do a BBC top 20 and Ronnie Barker won't feature in any of those programs? That's amazing, really, isn't it?
Mm.
But I think if you did let's say you did a top 50, I don't know, BBC characters, there might be only David Jason that would keep Ronnie Barker off the top, really, wouldn't it?
Well, it'd definitely be Del Boy number one, wouldn't it? It'd have to be.
Yeah, Del number one, probably. Arkwright maybe up there, and Basil Fawlty, but yeah, Arkwright would definitely be up there, wouldn't he? So, and even Open All is still on now as well, isn't it? So it's still showing now. So yeah, you think it'd featured, really.
And I think it's also to do with that it's quite available, Only Fools and Horses, isn't it? It's repeated a lot, on UK TV Gold and Dave, those channels. Those other comedies aren't shown so much, are they? There's a reason for that. But
yeah, popularity sort of thing, isn't it? So and I think we've said it before. I think, and Sue Holness said it last night, actually. It doesn't date, does it? The jokes are still fresh, aren't they? Whereas some other comedies possibly they do date a little bit, don't they? Watching them now, but Fools and Horses is still fresh, isn't it? It's still funny, even watching it now for in my case, 100th time. It's still, what's coming, but you're still going to laugh, aren't you? Sort of thing.
Sort of laugh before it happens.
Exactly. Yeah. The falling through the bar. It's.
I think somebody said it online the other day, actually, about the comedy. It's the improvisation, and it's not necessarily saying anything. It's the timing of it, and you don't get that with a lot of comedies these days. They need to learn from the older comedies of the past.
Yeah, and one or two of the actors we've had on have said that, haven't they? That David and Nick used to take them under the wing, really, made them feel part of the family for that program, and they sort of, they tweaked things, didn't they, with the script? They said, "Oh, it'd be better if you stood here, or you look shocked." I think Michael Fenton Stevens, who played Alan, said, didn't he, that when he's looking at Rodney with the badge, I think David Jason said, "Don't look at him, his face. Look at him, at sort of chest height sort of thing, and really exaggerate it." And it, like you say, it just makes it even funnier, doesn't it? Those little added ingredients, I suppose you'd call it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he said David Jason was directing that episode, didn't he, pretty much?
Yeah. And then one or two have said as well that they're nervous, aren't they, and everything. And David had basically, make a mistake on one of the lines, wouldn't he? And it'd make the actor feel better.
And relaxed, and yeah, very clever.
I think Buster had said it, hadn't he, actually? I think Buster had said to one or two of the actors that his first day he was petrified, really, because he hadn't done much acting, had he? And David Jason just messed up first line sort of thing. And with that, you settles your nerves, doesn't it? If it can happen to anyone sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mm. But that's the beauty of. I think Michael Fenton Stevens actually said as well, didn't he, that when we're watching it, that's the second time they do it, isn't it? Because the laughter's so loud first time.
Yeah, that was interesting as well. I never knew that. With the laughter, like you say, it was so much on that episode. He said the unlucky winner is, that they had to do it again because it was too much.
Yeah. I wonder if he did the bar one. Would be interesting, wouldn't it? Did he do the bar one for a second time? Because surely, I don't know, when you know what's coming, it can't be as funny second time. Can't it? Man, saying that, I still laugh even now. But that first time, it must have brought the house down.
I watched that episode recently. Oh, it's really funny. I think maybe it's in my top 10. The unlucky one. The unlucky winner is. Oh, so funny, isn't it?
Oh, unlucky winner is. Yeah. The I thought you meant the bar one. Yuppie Love, isn't it? But again, both series 6 they are, aren't they? Those two.
Yeah. Well, you can't. That's one of the best comedy moments ever, isn't it? I mean, we've seen that 100 times. We probably still laugh. The bar scene. I mean, fantastic. And that's a lot of that. That isn't spoken, is it? I think so. I heard somebody else speak about this, and they said that's why that's one of the most popular funny moments, because there's no words to it. So all around the world, people can find it funny.
Yeah, it's a bit like Mr. Bean. I think that's why that's been so successful around the world, hasn't it? There's no translation required, is there? It's it appeals to little kids and older people, doesn't it? Really.
And before that, you had people like Norman Wisdom, didn't you? Comedians like that.
That's right, Charlie Chaplin, I suppose. But that was him, wasn't it? That was before Talkies, I think they called it when it first came out.
Talkies.
Mr. Bean leads me on to something, actually, because with Mr. Bean, Chris, they did an animated series of Mr. Bean. What do you think about that for Fools and Horses?
Well, I'd be up for it. I'd be up for it. But could they get? They'd have to get the right voices, but they have to get the real actors. If they got the real actors, that's actually a good idea. You know, like if it was when they were younger, that would be quite good, I think. Yeah. Instead of doing a new TV show with actors who will get really criticised, won't they? No matter what they do, a lot of them. Because they did in Rock and Chips. I didn't think that was bad particularly, but it was different, wasn't it? It was a totally different format. It wasn't like Fools and Horses. No, and I don't think he'd gone for 100% comedy with that, had he? I think he'd gone for more telling us a story as much as anything. Yeah, there was funny bits in it as well, but I think he was telling a story. But I think that would have developed. I think we'd have seen more series of that. Yeah, I think we would have done. Yeah, and like I said, I think on the last podcast, I think that was the last one was the funniest, and I thought it was really going somewhere. But unfortunately, well, for all of us, John Sullivan passed away, and it's the same with doing another episode of Only Fools and Horses, really, isn't it? As we spoke about before. Yeah, you could have. It's a bit like I was thinking the Rock and Chips. You could have built it up a little bit like the Star Wars. You know, we went back in time with the Star Wars, didn't we? And by the end, we sort of built it up to a new prequels and then sequels. Yeah,
and then you could have had offshoots. Yeah, so you could have gone all the way up to 1981, really, couldn't you? You know, the next series could have been. Well, I think it was early 60s. We could have gone into mid to late 60s, couldn't we? Gone into the 70s and then come up to present day, really. And then
that's why it would have been good, because you've got the eras, haven't you? You've got the music, you've got the fashion. You know, like Dale said, he was with the mods, wasn't he? Like, sort of thing. I think he said that in one of the episodes. First episode, was it? He went to the Who concert, so you could imagine that kind of thing, couldn't you?
He got dumped, didn't he? If you preferred the Who over Rolling Stones or something like that, he was saying, wasn't he? Yeah.
That's how people broke up in the 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He did have a few. Bobby Crush was one, wasn't he? He mentioned, didn't he? I want to put my Bobby Crush LP on. I think Rodney was dressed in a Bobby Crush outfit, wasn't he, or something? Or Eric Clapton. He'd got quite an acquired taste in music. Bachelors was another record, wasn't it? Some of the LPs that come out were quite.
That's a funny episode. What episode's that? Oh, Only Rock and Roll, isn't it?
What's that one with the
Bachelors? You know, where he's on the telephone and he's like, "Oh, they're just rehearsing," and it's the Bachelors. Yeah, didn't he? And he's like, he says to them, "Do you know any Bachelors numbers?"
Yeah, it is. It's Only Rock and Roll. Yeah, he does well. Liam, I think it is, isn't it, on the phone? He phones him up, doesn't he? So I've got a group here. Yeah. And then it was all chaos, wasn't it? St. Paddy's night, wasn't it? That's right.
Yeah.
And course, Daniel was on that one with us, wasn't he? Mental Mickey.
Daniel Peacock, yeah.
Daniel
One of
Peacock,
our best guests, really.
Yeah, definitely my highlight. As from selfish point of view, when I did the 1, 2, 3, 4, and he was brilliant, wasn't he? I didn't know how he was going to react to that. You know, we might have just sort of not put everything into it, but God, he put more than 100% into that, didn't he? It was really good.
Definitely, yeah. Because you never know, do you? Because he might have had that all his life. A bit like we were talking with Mike about Nicholas Lyndhurst. That must get annoying. You know, people walking up to him saying "you plonker" like all the time. So you can see why he hides a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think Michael Fenton Stevens as well said about Trigger, wasn't it, as well? All right, Dave, and all that, wasn't it? That I think he even moaned to him, didn't he? Once, I get fed up of him shouting, "All right, Dave," you know. But that's what you're famous for, isn't it? So
yeah, fickle mistress or whatever they say.
Yeah, but there was a rumor as well, Chris, and we didn't post it on the podcast about Nick Lyndhurst maybe
retiring
from acting. But I think Nick's actually confirmed he's not going to be doing that, which is great news, is it?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I posted one of our podcasts saying about the possibility of another episode, and somebody said, "Oh, he's retiring," and then the next day, he's not retiring. So, yeah,
no. So and then it's better news about Patrick Murray as well. Mickey Pearce, he seems to be doing okay, doesn't he, with his treatment, which is great news. So
yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, we had a little inkling of that, didn't we, before it actually got out there.
Yeah. So I was going to go a show with him in. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. So hopefully we'll see him at one of the conventions in the near future. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be good. So tell us about that convention event thing you went to.
Yeah, that was at Britannia Sports Bar in Birmingham Way, really. So there was it was a meal we had, and 2-course meal. There was the Capri there and the trotter van, and 4 of the actors. So it was who was it now? It was
Vass Blackwood.
Angelina. Yeah, Vass was there. Vass Blackwood, the Shadow. Yeah, Tony Angelino was there. Philip Pope. Daniel was there. Mental Mickey.
And Mike Fenton.
Mike Fenton was there. Mike Fenton Stevens was there, who played Alan in The Unlucky Winner Is. So yeah, really good. We had each table could have the photographs with each of the actors. We then could get autographs. They had a nice auction as well of different items. I did try and win 1 or 2. One was a Rothman's packet of cigarettes, empty packet with a gun, a replica gun that was used in
cool.
The Longest Night with the Shadow. Yeah, but unfortunately kept going out of my price range. Unfortunately, kicking myself.
It was an auction.
Auction, sorry. Yeah.
What did it go for in the end? Roughly.
I'd be guessing, but it was about 80 or 90. So I was up to about 60 or 70 myself. But you know how you feel that somebody's not going to give up.
Yeah, they keep putting their hand up, and yeah.
He wasn't hesitating. I was going, and putting my hand up. He was straight away. His hand was going up straight away. So he did bid up. This guy bid on about 3 or 4 things in the end. So, but it's nice to see a Capri. I've not seen the Capri. Obviously, it's a replica Ford Capri, but I've not seen one of them in the flesh before. So that was nice to see one of those. Nice guy, actually. I spoke to him quite a bit. John Jones Trotter was on Facebook. He's got the Trotter van and the Capri. Even the number plates are near off the same. I think there's 1 letter out on both of them. Although I've got a Trotter van as well with 1 letter out on my van as well. But his attention to detail on the Capri is something else. Everything's, the wing mirrors are pink. He's got all the little quirks with it. So yeah, really good. Now I think it costs about £65. So
did the Capri have leopard skin interior, or did I just imagine that?
It did have, it did. Weirdly, my Trotter van, I've got leopard print in that, but that's a bit of a myth. The van never had leopard print. It was more the factory settings, like a blacks, the black vinyl seat covers. But the Trotter van did have the leopard skin in. Yeah,
and we've spoken about it before. There's been so many freewheel vans in Only Fools and Horses, isn't there? So many Robin Reliance or no,
Well, I've got to say there, Chris, Reliant Regal, not Reliant Robin.
Yeah.
Reliant Regal Supervan 3s. Yeah, they used about 12. I mean, I heard that, funny enough, a guy who used to do a bit of repair work on a guy from Flint. He actually worked on the real ones, you know, in the show. And he said that, you know, when we see a scene, perhaps the interior, how true this is, when you see them in the van, it's actually half a van cut in half, and it's actually like pulling on a trailer, and that's how they used to film them. But you can get that, really, can't you? That how do they get the camera in there? Really, they've got to get it in at some way, haven't they? So some of the interior shots, it'd be a chopped up van. How true that is, I don't know. And then sometimes the park one wasn't mobile, and then you get one that they used to drive in and things like that. But one of the ones, the other one they used when they win the millions, the watch, that same van was used in Mr. Bean. You know, the blue van in Mr. Bean.
No, but it was used in that as well, wasn't
it? Yeah. So the first few episodes of Mr. Bean, Mr. Bean, the Mini, always crashes into a blue three-wheeler. It's always in the very early episodes. And that
I remember the Mini, but not the van.
Yeah, he's got Mr. Bean had a green Mini, but he used to crash into, you know, when he'd park up, he'd hit a car, and it was always the poor old blue three-wheeler that was shunted out of the way. Not only was that a Reliant Supervan 3, but that was actually the van, or one of the vans that they used in the show as well. And you can actually see it's at the museum somewhere down south, one of the vans, and you can actually see the blue bit of paint underneath the van. And quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Featured in two comedy programs. Yeah.
What's your favourite scene with the van? In mine's probably in Dates, where Rodney's driving Nervous Neris.
yeah, it's got to be top 3. I think for me, when you were asking me, well, yeah, that one, I'd put second when they win the money. You know, when they're wobbling about, aren't they? When they've won the money. Yeah. But for me, dressed as Batman and Robin, I think that's quite iconic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, when they break down, yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, and he's got his lighter, hasn't he? Looking just for petrol.
No, what are you doing?
you'll blow us to kingdom come, he says, doesn't he, or something?
I really sort of sympathised with Rodney on that bit, because I thought if that would happen to me, that's exactly what I would think. If I got out the van, everybody would show up, wouldn't they? Everybody that you would know. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 people will come from where 1,000 people aren't at the moment, or something, he says, doesn't he? Yeah. The van as well, a famous one as well, probably the blow up doll one, isn't it? When the blow up doll at the very end pops up in the window. Yeah, it pops up in the rear window, and they both get out and run for the hills, don't they? Think it's going to explode.
I saw a number plate yesterday that said UXD. Believe it or not.
Did you? Must be a reference.
Or very similar. Yeah, I was quite surprised. Yeah, but another one that I remember is the Russians are coming for some reason when they have to do the trial run. Yeah,
they got 4 minutes, hadn't they, or something? Yeah, 4-minute warning, I think they called it, didn't they?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the policemen pulled over, them, don't they?
Yeah, so many great moments.
Weirdly, Chris, I don't know if you remember this, but the police car in that show, in that program, it's an early episode. It's an Escort Mark 1. And I know 1 or 2 people have said that same Escort has appeared with the same plate in, like, the Sweeney and things like that. You know, it's like a TV car, which you can understand that, can't you? If it's an old car they're after, you know, why not, really? So just a bit of a trivial.
I wonder if that's still around. That might be worth a few quid.
Yeah, I seem to remember the number plate had old written on it, you know. The number plate had old, because a lot of old plates were made of words, weren't they, in a way? You know, like a random number plate. But I used to look, because I watched programs that much that I think the number plate had old in it as well. Yeah, so worth a fortune. Them now, that Escort would be worth 30-40k, I would say.
Yeah. So you saw my DJ set last night. Did you enjoy it?
Really good. Yeah, really good. You've mixed. So how you can't give your secrets away, really, can you? So you've mixed. How have you done that? Have you got the little clips off, or can't you really say too much how you've put it together?
Oh, it's all in the mix, mate. It's all in the mix.
Yeah. bit like a secret recipe, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, just get some of the voice clips together, and then you find the appropriate music to go with it. That's it, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I know she did a bit of. I know you're into Madness, aren't you? Was it Baggy Trousers you did?
Yeah, Baggy Trousers was. No, One Step Beyond was one.
One Step Beyond.
But the one you liked was the All Right, Dave. The Dave one.
Yeah.
And that was I Found Lovin', that song, that old disco classic. Yeah.
No,
Good laugh.
it worked really well. That really well. You thinking of doing some more? Are you those?
Yeah, I might do. It's a good laugh. People seem to enjoy it online, so yeah, why not? Good
I
fun.
was thinking that couldn't you do it? Say like we could have like a podcast now, and then I could dress up myself and perhaps have a jig with you, couldn't I? Maybe.
Yeah, we could try. Yeah, why not? But
Yeah.
I was going to do like a half an hour set, but that'll have to be in the future because it took me ages just to do, 7 minutes. To be honest,
Oh, I can imagine that. Yeah, you're putting it together and
hours
things.
it
Yeah.
took. Yeah, but
Have you got it? Have you got it on a CD or anything? Or
yeah, I got it on the computer, so I can use it again. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, great. Yeah,
so,
yeah. So what's about 8? I did. It's about 8 minutes long, is it? You said.
yeah, but it's halfway through. It's repeated because that's the thing with live videos. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, yeah, I am.
Oh, your camera's you're
Oh,
frozen.
do you know what I think it is? It because it is it. Am I
Oh,
on
there you
now?
go. It's come back.
You know what it's doing because I'm not touching the computer. It's going on to the home screen.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. But yeah, it was a good laugh. Yeah, it was about 8 minutes, but I repeated it halfway through because that's the thing with a live video. People will just show up whenever, wouldn't they? So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good laugh. But you have to be
yeah.
careful, like to play. You have to loop things. You can't play the whole songs and stuff like that because they get blocked, don't they? Unfortunately.
I was thinking about your copyright and things, yeah, but yeah. So is that how you do it? Is that you get round it a bit? You can just play little clips, really? Is that you're all right with doing that?
Yeah, ducking and diving, wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, yeah. Keep yourself. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if I've said to you about the convention's been moved to May now, hasn't it? With COVID now, where David Jason's there. So I don't know.
To see everybody on either day, it's 350, isn't it? You were saying
it's about 350. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And there's about each day. There's probably I don't know about 8 actors on each day. David Jason, Sue Holderness are there both days. So whichever day you pick. I'm probably swaying towards the Sunday. Probably because I've never met them. Gwyneth Strong and Chesapeake Jones are there. Raquel and Cassandra. So I'd like to meet them. So
that'd be good.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of the sets, don't they, built already? When you have the pictures and like the flat and
they'll have the flat there. They possibly have a bar as well set up where you can fall through, and the chandelier is sometimes that. Yeah, so the chandelier as well. So yeah, and I'm hoping that they might bring an event to Liverpool. The Only Fools and Horses bar. I thought that'd be ideal, really, if they could have some sort of event there at some point. It's only down the road from me.
Yeah, might be an idea.
Yeah,
you said about that place before. Where Emily lives. There's a
I meant to say to Emily last time. There's an event in Blackpool. One or two of the actors are there. Again, the guys that I spoke about, really. The Shadow, Tony Angelino, Mental Mickey's there.
great guest stars, weren't they?
Yeah, they seem to be like a round the country, really. Those 4 or 5 of them, different places. So yeah, I'm sure people could go and see them somewhere close.
Yeah, and the reason Emily isn't on with us today is because she's on holiday. So that's a good reason, isn't it?
Good reason. Is she gone abroad or?
Oh, I don't know actually. I didn't ask her, but yeah, she's away on holiday, so she'll be having a nice drink somewhere, probably.
Why not? Yeah, don't blame her. Yeah, it's quite a windy day today actually out there. I've been for a run earlier on, so I was posting my entry to the Krypton Factor.
What's that, Chris?
Remember that?
No.
Don't you remember Uncle Albert saying that he was posting his entry to was it the Krypton Factor?
I remember him saying it, but what was it?
Don't you ever remember the Krypton Factor?
No.
It was Gordon Burns. It was, and it was a mental. It'd be like mental arithmetic, really. So you'd have a question round, you'd have a general knowledge round, then you'd have to build something maybe. And the famous thing was an assault course you had to do at the end.
Oh, okay. And this was on the TV.
It was on ITV. That was many years ago. Good show though. Yeah, it was pretty good actually this day. Yeah, yeah. So that's what. Yeah, so some of the references again, probably for people of a certain age, they won't remember the programs, will they? Now some of the shows, even some of the references I've had to Google, on the show sometimes.
Yeah. But as we were saying, of course, Only Fools and Horses has won the best loved comedy. We all think it's right. We know, it makes sense. But the thing is, with the comedy, is you can hear something from the past that you don't necessarily know what it's about, but it's still funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
Even with those, remember that episode with the huge computers? Now that looks hilarious, doesn't it? What's the name? I always forget the name of that episode. Where he's selling these huge computers at the bar.
Frog's Legacy, the Raja computers.
Yeah.
And then Mike says to Del, "Why don't you sell one to Trigger?" And he goes, "Trigger with a computer? He's still struggling with light switches." Yeah.
And of course, you've got Del Boy's phone, haven't you? I mean, that's hilarious how big that is.
Yeah, it's probably got even funnier. Like you say, even them Raja computers, they're even funnier because they're so out of date now as well, aren't they? It looks even more tacky. You know, when you watched it then, it probably was the latest computer, actually, wasn't it? That was how a computer was, wasn't it? You know.
I watched.
Sorry.
Go on. Oh, I watched Little Problems last night. That was good, and that's the one with the phone where it goes up his hooter. Do you remember?
I do remember, and the
Driscoll brothers
TV change channel, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, when they're watching the races. Yeah,
that's quite good. Del's pressing a number, isn't he? And it's flicking around behind him, unbeknown to him. And Boise and Trigger, isn't it? Are going, what's going on here? You know, so. They were in the green grass, weren't they? The Driscoll brothers, I think, as well.
Did they show up there? Oh.
Yeah.
What, for one episode?
Yeah, and I think Denzel appeared in one episode as well.
Oh, right. Oh, I didn't know.
Again, I am guilty, and I shouldn't even admit to this. I've never seen many green grass episodes. I don't know why. I should do, really.
I think I saw the first series, and then I sort of lost interest. But I've seen a few of them. I mean, obviously not as funny as Fools and Horses, but I thought it was a good spin-off. Yeah.
And they were big characters, weren't they? Boise and Marlene. You know, they were the big couple, really. I mean, they probably, dare I say it. Well, I'm sure they did. They surpassed Del and Raquel and Cassandra and Rodney to a lot of people, didn't they? You know, they were iconic, weren't they?
They were both characters, weren't they? That's the real characters.
Yeah. They shouldn't have worked it. And then they brought in the Jaffa joke, didn't they? I mean, that was just, you know, hilarious, wasn't it? Firing more blanks than the Territorials and, you know, stuff like that. It's just.
I like the bit when she has the kids. And then they're all in the pub, aren't they? And it's like, got Del's nose and Rodney's chin, and so funny.
Yeah, and then what Marlene says, "Wave at your daddy," and about 5 of them wave.
Yeah, they all wave. Yeah.
Wave
to daddy.
Yeah. All the boys remember Marlene.
And it was lovely what she said last night, wasn't it, about John? And obviously, it hasn't been that long, has it, since he's passed away? Very sad.
No, it was. I think it was about September last year, wasn't it? So, it probably does take a while to sink in and things. But like you say, the lovely thing is he's got such a great legacy, hasn't he? And everyone remembers him fondly. They've all got. I'm sure Carol and Sue get stories, don't they, of when they've met John and things. And there's plenty of archive footage and things, isn't there, to remember him? His memory will last forever, won't it? Like all the actors, to be fair. It'd be interesting, Chris. Wouldn't it be interesting, Chris, in 30 years' time, if they did another poll, I'd still be quite confident Fools and Horses could still be number one.
Yeah, I agree.
And that just says it all about the show, really, doesn't it? You know, it's iconic.
It's timeless, isn't it? It's completely timeless. It'll always be funny. And as we said, like, a lot of things from the past aren't around anymore, but people still find it funny. Yeah.
I hope they bring them out all, and I keep saying it, I hope they bring them all out on Blu-ray, because I think it's really... added another dimension to it, really. I've really enjoyed watching the 5 Christmas specials from the 80s in Blu-ray, particularly To Hull and Back, actually, and Jolly Boys Out.
What other ones? Jolly Boys Out, and Hull and Back.
Yeah, you've got to Hull and Back, Royal Flush, Frog's Legacy, Dates, and Jolly Boys Outing. So the 5 80s Christmas specials. Particularly, I don't know why, exterior shots are much better on the Blu-ray than they are on, the normal. When into Hull and Back, say, when they're in the lorry meeting, it's Abdul, isn't it, and Boise meeting Del Boy. It's quite dark on the original DVD and videos, but how crisp it is, really good. Definitely recommend it, but just hope they bring them all out. In fact, I watched one on DVD last night of another episode. and I thought, oh wow, not as crisp,
Yeah.
So
When you compare
yeah,
the quality, yeah.
would make a difference. I've been trying to drum up some, not trade, but saying, encouraging everyone to buy it, because I think then they'll look at it and think, well, wow, look at the sales. We'll bring them all out in Blu-ray, I think, So
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I've noticed that with episodes, because, like I said before, everything's widescreen, and when you watch a lot of, well, the DVDs I've got, everything's in a box like this, so it's a bit annoying. It's not the end of the world, but it's a bit annoying.
yeah, and with the Blu-ray as well, they've got a few extra scenes, like the Jolly Boys outing at the Mardi Gras club. When
Oh,
Raquel's
okay.
singing.
What, deleted scenes or?
It's a scene that they deleted. It's quite a bit of dialogue between Mike Boyce and Trigger with Del and Rodney. When before you see Raquel, they're all sitting down talking. Well, that's been cut. I think it's musical. Why, there's music in the background. That's why it's been cut.
Yeah.
But there must be 5 minutes cut. But that's been restored in the Blu-ray version, so that's quite good. And Royal Flush as well is quite cut as well, which in the Blu-ray the original's on there. So there's quite a big cut from the Carmen, the opera, which is back in there. So it's worth getting just for that, really. Those couple of extra 5 minutes in each,
And I think somebody commented about stage fright. Remember that scene that Philip Pope, Tony Angelino did, that it was filmed, apparently. The scene, it never went out. I think we talked about that before, didn't we? There was an extra scene where all the women were outside, like to get an autograph or something like that.
Yeah, there was something. Yeah, and I'd read that. I don't know if they'd filmed it in the end, but it's certainly deleted. Yeah, there was one as well in Jolly Boys outing when they're at the Villa Bella. Del's talking to a couple of guests. I've actually seen a photograph of it, and I've read the dialogue
transcript. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple of old guests, that have been there years. It just adds to how depressing that guest house is, So,
but sometimes they are deleted for a reason, aren't they? I mean, that might have revealed too much, maybe, about what the place was like before you got the gag of it, I guess.
Yeah, and there's time constraints, Chris, I suppose, isn't there, as well? We're just not quite under the
and like you were saying with the scripts, imagine if you could get them, and I'd love somebody who's got them to just reveal what the last 10 minutes were of them all. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely would, wouldn't it? Yeah. I know that you like deleted scenes were out there, and I quite like watching the bloopers. Have you seen a few of the bloopers they do? You can see that on YouTube. So a few of the bloopers that they've done.
No, I
haven't. More in the later episodes, but they're quite good.
Good real gag.
There's a few. I tell you, ones where Ken McDonald, he used to put a beer mat, didn't he, on his nose, and he used to go, "Who threw that?"
Yeah.
So he'd cut a little hole out and then have it on his nose, "Who threw?" Just to warm the crowd up a little bit.
Would have been brilliant to go to one of them shows, wouldn't it? I mean, the show back in the day. Imagine that.
Oh yeah, I meant to ask Mike Fenton Stevens the other day, because he's talking about the live show, how many actually could hold. I was going to ask him that, but we moved on to something else at the time. But I wonder how many. It wouldn't hold many, would it? Perhaps 500 or so.
Oh wow! I was going to say a lot lower, but yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say about 80, something like that. But I've got no idea, to be honest. I don't know.
And I always picture it a little bit. Don't know if you've ever seen it, Mrs. Brown's Boys. If you've ever seen that, they actually show that, don't they? You can see the crowd, can't you? At the end, they wave at the crowd, and I suppose it'd look a little bit like that. And there doesn't seem that many people there, to be honest.
Wonder how you got tickets, though. Was it? It might have been easy. You don't even know. It might have been who you knew, or what.
Yeah, it could have been if you're in the acting game, couldn't it? A little bit as well. There's a
guest of the
show on here. But yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? And it's amazing, isn't it, when you think that, I'm sure there was canned laughter, but a lot of it's real people laughing at the show, at the live show. I mean, they're in stitches, aren't they?
Would have been amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been great, wouldn't it? So, but I like watching the little. I don't know if you've ever seen the little episodes. Like, there's an episode called Christmas Trees. You ever seen that with Grandad in that they're selling?
Oh yeah. And what was that one that got deleted? Or not deleted? It wasn't released, and then they did release it. That was quite recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a school one they did called License to Drill. That was shown at schools with oil and things. Yeah. there's a white mice one as well, a watchdog one that he did. He was selling white mice, and a few Royal Variety Show as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Or Children in Need and things like that. That would be the only thing I'd watch on there.
Yeah.
The sketch of Only Fools and Horses, and the rest I wouldn't really watch. But
yeah, and the Beckham one was good, wasn't it? We said about that the other week. Comic Relief, that was funny with Beckham in.
Yeah. Beckham in Peckham.
Beckham in Peckham. Yeah, I've heard a rumour. I've never had it confirmed. He's got a trotter van, but I don't know how true that is.
Oh, I'd have one. You got one, so.
Yeah. I think if you want one, you're looking for a decent one. It's probably £10,000 these days, for a decent one. It's the rarity of them, Chris, as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. They're only going to go up in value as well, to be honest.
Well, that line you've just said, that's how you justify it to your future wife, isn't it? It's an investment.
Yeah.
They'll only go up in value. And they will, you're right. Even if you had it for 6 months and thought, I need the money now, you'd make your money back easy.
They're never going to go in price, are they, really?
No, and I'm not mechanical, but apparently they're quite easy to work on. The fiberglass, there's no rust on there. So, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but whenever I see one, even if it doesn't look like the one off the show, it always makes me smile.
Yeah. Weirdly, when I'm in my van, on the rare occasion I see another three-wheeler, it's like a bit of a code thing. We always wave at each other. It's quite strange. You wouldn't wave at another, Astra, would you, or Corsa? But when you see another three-wheeler, it's sort of part of a club, really. Yeah, it's quite strange.